Next up on our agenda is the audience of citizens. I'm going to read out the audience of citizens guidelines first, and then we'll start with that. This meeting is being videotaped for community cable channels and streamed live. Individuals attending this meeting and intending to speak to the board should be aware that they are being videotaped. In order to meet the requirements of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the board during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the board state their name and municipality. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. As a reminder, the audience of citizens portion of this meeting is designed for residents and taxpayers of the district to provide comment and feedback on matters that are or may come before the board. It is not designed for debate or discussion with the board. When appropriate, individual school board directors may choose to respond to public comments that have been made once the audience of citizens period has concluded, or request that a member of the administration follow up with the speakers after the meeting. This is in reference to board policy 903, and all public comment will be from that podium over there.
I have an objection.
So first up,
I have an objection to that before you go on. If you read the Sunshine Law, there is not a limit at 3 minutes. It's a suggested limit. And before you interrupt, it is here's the actual language. It says,
Jason, why are you saying you're close down? You can't have a meeting without sound.
excuse me, Mr. Altieri, you are the first one who can go up and make public comment. You're first on the list. Mr. Lanier, you may sit.
I'm objecting. I'm allowed to object.
We can the board can hear him. That is what is required, is everybody in the room is able to hear. There is no need for broadcasting. There's no legal requirement that the meeting be broadcasted.
Mr. Lanier, please have a seat.
The district does that as a courtesy.
I'm not done objecting.
Mr. Lanier, have a seat, or
I am
we'll have,
not done objecting.
we can have you escorted
No,
out.
I am not done objecting. I'm legally allowed to object.
You can state your objection
Okay, so
is,
I don't want to argue with Ms. Stoll about whether or not I'm allowed to object.
your
it
first
says,
objection
however-
is regarding the time limit. Is there any other
Yes,
objection you have?
there's a
What is
couple other things. One is that
Mr. Lanier, have a seat.
no,
Yes.
I am allowed to object. I have a
He does
right
not
here
have
to.
it.
Quickly, what are your other objections?
So, however, it may not, this is according to the OOR, however, it may not be adequate in certain meetings, such as when complex budget is being discussed.
You're still related to the time limit. Do you have any
No, this
objections
is-
other
this
than
is-
the time
This is
limit?
an association with it. You're allowed to go beyond the time limit, and you're also allowed to, it's good practice to actually respond to questions.
Your objection
You're not
is
required.
noted. Your objection is noted regarding time limits and responses.
Have a
Thank you.
seat, Mr. Lanier. Mr.
And it's also-
Altieri, you are first. Good evening, Mr.
My
McDevitt.
name is Neil McDevitt. I'm the mayor for North Wales Borough. My two sons are 19 and 21 and attended North Penn schools throughout their academic careers. I'm proud of them, and I'm grateful for the impact that teachers had on their lives throughout. Many of us today in this room remember our teachers, our favorite teachers, fondly. I'm blessed that Mr. Schroyer, my high school social studies teacher, was mine. He was not your normal teacher. He was a short man who dressed absolutely perfectly every single day. He used his voice to assert himself in a room full of hormonal teenagers. But more importantly, he knew that we didn't need to know Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Instead, class time was spent discussing the issues of the day and connecting them to historical events. And that was a messy process. It was never a nice, neat, straight, even orderly class. But Mr. Sawyer was dangerous. During the first Gulf War, those of us who are old enough to remember, patriotism swept the country, and every car had a flag decal on it. In class, Mr. Sawyer challenged all of that. He said he would be horrified to know if his son, who was old enough to serve, went to fight and die over there for cheap oil. I don't know if he actually believed that, by the way. But he took the time to use his knowledge of history to connect it to the historical background and keep the students talking about it. So we understood that with all of the superficial statements being made, all of the jingoism that was going on, we could make our own conclusions for that. The district has embraced the value of diversity in all of its form. I'm an example of that. As humans, we embody a range of differences that can be simple and fundamental on so many levels. My colleague, Gary Herbert from Lansdale, asked us to reject otherism. By doing so, the district is doing a service for all students who pass through its doors. We are genuinely better for our exposure to a wide range of ideas and people, both acceptable and dangerous, so long as we're having a genuine conversation about why those ideas warrant acceptance. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. McDevitt. Next up is Mrs. Braccio. Mrs. Braccio, you want to make comment this evening?
My name is Pauline Braccio, and I'm from Talmenson Township. I'm addressing what happened last month. There is no similarity between what happened 40 years ago in the 80s to homosexuals and what is going on now. The man who said he organized what happened at last month's meeting was wrong. Being a transvestite, they are not transgender. They only dress as women. It's not a lifestyle. It is a fetish. It is insulting to women that a man should dress up in a clownish outfit with garish makeup and ridiculous wigs. They are ugly. They are not celebrating women. They are making a mockery of womanhood. Some homosexuals are born as such. Many of them choose to be. Any man who dresses up in women's clothing, wears over-the-top makeup and wigs, are choosing to do so. Again, it is not a lifestyle. It is a fetish. Stop confusing the two. It is time for women to recognize the truth and call for the end of this dangerous practice. Men who dress up as women, then gather children around them to read to them, are traumatizing the children. Parents who allow their children to attend any event where these men are performing in a sexualized atmosphere are exposing their children to these predators who take delight in the public grooming of the most innocent among us. Here are some characteristics of a pedophile. They're popular with both children and adults. They appear to be trustworthy and respectable. They have good standing in the community. They could be heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual. They groom the children with quality time, video games, parties, candy, toys, gifts, money, and actually just like their friendship. They single out children who seem troubled and in need of attention or affection. And we actually had a young girl, not a young girl, but a young lady saying that last month. They rarely force or coerce a child in sexual contact. They do it through trust and friendship. They find different ways and places to be alone with children. They are primarily, but not always, male, masculine, better educated, more religious than average, in their 30s, and choose jobs allowing them greater access to children. They are usually family men. They have no criminal record. They deny they abuse children, even after caught, convicted, incarcerated, and court-ordered into a sex offender program. They're married, but that serves as a smokescreen for the pedophile's true preferences and practices. A lot of this sounds like Eric Torres. So I just hope that you think about that and that parents who love him so much learn to protect their children instead of exposing them to him.
Thank you, Mrs. Braccio. Next up is Mrs. Gadd.
Ask yourself, what has this board done for the parents, taxpayers, and community for the past 2+ years? Indoctrinate, not educate. Lack of discipline, not discipline. Collective thought, not individual thought. Social warriors, not independent thinking people. Political, not politically neutral. Fear, not knowledge. Government rule, not people rule. Ostracize, not welcome other opinions. This board claims to listen to all opinions, but completely one-sided, as demonstrated at December meeting. When does a government official come to a school board meeting to voice his opinion for the minority? But yet when anyone else speaks with a different opinion, they are screamed at, completely interrupted, and cops do nothing. Realize that it's all the government versus we the people. It only makes us that much more determined to expose the corruption and all the violations. This only rallies the majority of people that want the transparency of tax dollars, hiring process, and educating our kids with the utmost integrity on basic subjects. At the November meeting, I asked about the hiring process to no avail. But after the December meeting, you emailed me to meet and go over the hiring process. Why is that? Why didn't you give me that information sooner? Was the rallying of the community a staged event? The only time a response comes from this board after I speak is to defend themselves. All words, no action. Everyone who is speaking the truth, show it with their words and their actions. It has been proven time and time again that the board has no integrity. Got to come up with some new buzzwords for truth. Hate speech, racist, white supremacist, and many others are getting old. The Constitution is a viable document that protects all people. Highly recommend you take a course on it, as you have violated many laws in it. All board members have been served all the violations on constitutional, PA, and international laws. If you think you are protected, it seems like the walls are crashing in on the federal government, which will affect the state down to local. Public officials are exactly that, work for the public, not your own interests, lobbying interests, political gain, or China influences. I'm sure you've heard about Central Bucks eliminating indoctrination and focusing on education. Probably a good idea for all PA schools to follow suit, or the class action suits will be abundant. John 3:18, dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. Timothy chapter 2, verse 4, for there is going to come a time when people won't listen to the truth, but will go around looking for teachers who will tell them just what they want to hear. They won't listen to what the Bible says, but will blindly follow their own misguided ideas.
Thank you, Mrs. Gadd. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment? Mr. Patchell, go ahead.
Is the microphone working, or do I just do natural amplification?
working.
Which I can do perfectly well.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Oh, wonderful. Even Demia Kim, that's just in the far corner of that room, and I believe she can hear me now. So, we're on. I have a vision. That vision is to make the district a place where students can learn in many ways in a sustainable situation where the outcome, although not sure, we all in our efforts strive to allow every individual that has doubts that they too can achieve. This district is really the model of including people, and it's a very large district. And I mentioned to Dr. Bauer when he humbly accepted this job, do you know how wretched this job is? They burnt Kurt out. So wow, after 50 years, we have the challenge to remodel the high school. But do we want to revamp it in the what was? Is the Navy Yard launching 4 stack coal burning battleships? No, we put extensive treasure into establishing NPVA, and I believe that it reached an apex of 400 students and a number of students in public cyber school. And that indicates that people are striving for other avenues which they think will insulate them from the problems which were just mentioned in the last speaker. Because being at home, I can excel at whatever speed I choose. It's streaming. Oh yeah, I'm working Saturday morning here. It's beautiful. I'm taking courses at Montgomery County Community, and I never miss a bus ride because I don't need it. My parents trust me. I have 2 loving parents. Aren't you lucky? Many children are growing up in a less than perfect setting, less than perfect financial underpinnings. And if we raise taxes, we need to raise our awareness of the building and its climate change and how that will affect us. I believe we need a new whiteboard with a new parameters of education. We can do this. We have to be zero carbon neutral. I hear it on the TV all the time. You know, it was a good idea we had virtual down in Southwest Florida. Oh yeah, 5 school districts, they got washed away. Yeah, he's still in West Palm now. He's taking classes across the state. He's not missing a minute. This is what happens when it's grounded in a defensive position. You have to be highly nimble, like tanks. What are those, drones? Yeah, you got a 3-minute life expectancy. It's a new paradigm. You have to accept this. No high school driving to school in 10
Mr.
years.
Patchell, your 3 minutes is up.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
I'm not reading my comments that I intended to make. I have someone on retainer, and I'm letting everyone in the audience know. My name is Vincent Altieri. I'm from Lansdale, Pennsylvania. I'm not making the comment that I intended because the person I have on retainer is sending me information as we speak that's telling me that you're wrong. And I want to make sure that I understand. Kyle Summers, you're the one who told me that you can have a meeting without audio, correct?
There is no requirement to broadcast a public meeting.
Okay, without audio.
As long as everyone who's in the room can hear what is being said and the board can, as long as everyone in the room can hear
You
what
had
is
your
being said.
time. You gave me your answer. You're going to stand by that.
Mr. Altieri, just real quick, my understanding.
Please take me off the clock.
My understanding is
Madam
that
President.
we are being recorded and the video will be posted to our YouTube channel as it always is. However, there is not a requirement to broadcast the meeting. But Mr. Gilmer ensures me that the meeting is being recorded.
I was told it was
And
taken off.
It is not live right now. It's being recorded and will be posted.
So when the meeting comes live, they will
When the,
hear everything.
Correct. Correct.
My meeting is correct. I'm here tonight to comment on the partisan manner in which this,
Mr. Altieri, just 1 second. Mr. Scrocky, can you come back to the 3 minutes? Thanks.
I'm here to comment tonight on the partisan manner in which this ignominious board continues to conduct themselves. I'm also here to comment on the dialogue surrounding last month's meeting, the hiring of a middle school technology assistant. I understand I have 3 minutes, but it's interesting. Last week, people had more than 3 minutes. Case in point, multiple people went over their time limit. Last month, there were mics were not shut off. They were not chastised. In fact, the non-resident was allowed to continue to make her opinion known. As Madam Presidente lacked the leadership courage to have her removed. And then when the same disrespectful person demanded that you call her doctor, you did. Disgusting. Allowing others to be treated differently because of their beliefs is dangerous to any establishment, let alone an establishment that is being trusted with the well-being of our children. This is also a perfect example of hypocrisy and the double standard that I've witnessed since becoming active in my child's education. Simply put, you should be removed just for these actions alone. You will not apologize for your actions because this is exactly what you condone. Point number 2, the topic of hiring a middle school technology assistant. Ask yourself this question: why are some parents concerned that a drag queen was hired for this position? I don't claim to have the answers to all those questions, but I can tell you this. The answer is because parents don't trust you. That's why they question. So instead of justifying the hiring based on qualification, this board boasts, we have the LGBTQ backs. What in the world does having the LGBTQ, I apologize, communities backs have to do with a hiring decision? That's like saying because me, Vince Altieri, a heterosexual Italian-American, proud, I should be the manager of the Mets. That has nothing to do with the hiring decision. And no one commented on the hiring decision. But again, you get questioned on your motive because parents don't trust you. I can go on and on about why parents don't trust you, but you don't care. Like you said, Mr. Fusco, to me, I don't care what you think. You don't even care about hearing me. I don't care what you think either, because you allowed that to happen. In closing, I used to think that people, the people like you were the problem. You're not the problem, you are the symptom. The problem is that people allow you to divide them through your words and actions. Trust is earned. I walked into the first meeting with an open mind, okay? And you just disrespected me. And now I'm going to disrespect you because that's how things are in the real world.
Mr. Altieri, your time is up.
I'm going to keep on talking.
No, we gave
Oh,
you
no,
extra
you can't-
time.
What, you didn't do that last? You didn't do that last?
Yes, we did.
Are we changing the rules?
We're not changing the rules. It's 3 minutes.
How come
We
you didn't
gave
do that last month?
Mr. Altieri, your time is up.
Are you going to have me removed? You're going to shut my mic off? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to have me removed?
That does conclude your 3 minutes, sir. And that has been applied regardless of the
No, it wasn't
viewpoint.
applied.
It absolutely was. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Well,
Yes, it was. Go
it's
get it.
certainly being employed. It's certainly being applied now.
Unless I'm mistaken, you had a minute and a half before we put the 3 minutes back on the
You are
clock.
mistaken, because I was not in the impression I was making.
Mr.
public
Altieri,
comment.
your time is
Yeah.
up.
We
Please
don't have a
seat.
you on the agenda, so you had an extra minute and a half.
No, I didn't get an extra minute.
Mr.
I didn't
Altieri,
address-
please have
I
a
didn't-
seat.
I didn't address my commentary, okay, until I started speaking officially. So you're.
Mr. Altieri, please have a seat. Thank you for your
I
comment.
want to keep on talking.
Your time is up.
No, then have me removed. Because that's what you didn't do last month. You had no.
You are disrupting a public meeting.
I'm
right
disrupting.
now.
I'm not disrupting.
Yes, you are. Sir, this
Yes, thank
board has
you.
adopted. This board has adopted a 3-minute requirement.
There is not to be any, you're not supposed to be yelling from the audience. You can go up and make public
They
comments.
yelled from the audience last
And
month.
we were gaveling.
Why did you allow them to yell from the audience?
So
last month?
eager to
Why
get
did you allow
Clearly, we
Stop.
are not able to stop
Why
people
did
from
you-
yelling from the
Why did
audience.
you allow people to?
No,
I mean,
bully?
obviously,
Why was I
This
bullied
is a
last month?
disruption.
Enough.
I move to
Everyone-
adjourn until this disruption is
Why
ended.
I
was I
second that.
bullied last month?
Mr. Mr. Casa, just to clarify, I understand that you wish to recess the meeting,
recess.
to
We
continue
didn't recess.
Do you have a
the
to
meeting
hold a
last
brief
month.
recess. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to recess.
We didn't recess.
Yes, we
the meeting
are.
last month.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to call the meeting back to order. Mr. Altieri, you had your time. If there's anybody else that would like to make public comment at this time.
Sir, you have concluded your 3 minutes. You are now disrupting the meeting. There's a 3-minute time limit that the board has, excuse me. Okay, your 3 minutes has concluded. You are disrupting the meeting. It is a violation of Pennsylvania law, criminal law to intentionally violate or disrupt a public meeting? Are you refusing to sit down? I'm asking you, are you refusing to sit down? And I'm saying that your 3 minutes has concluded. You are obviously not complying with that requirement and allowing other individuals to speak. Madam President, do you wish for this individual to be removed from the meeting?
Yes, please.
So we would ask that you be removed at this time for disrupting the meeting. They can certainly escort you out.
Mr. Scrocky, can you please start the timer? Yes, it is. This is your public comment, Mr.
I'm
Lanier.
objecting.
There was no executive session was held. There was no prearranged. Your time is occurring, and you're certainly free to make your objection during your time.
No, I'm allowed to make objections.
That is not correct. You have the time at this. You are being given the floor. You can state your objection.
I'm allowed to object beside my. This comment, this is not.
Mr. Lanier, you're not even talking in the mic.
I need to know what it is that you guys were speaking about, because you just had a quorum in the back room. Was it an executive session?
There was not an executive session held.
What was it? What was discussed? Because there was enough to decide on things. You need to let us know. Am I correct?
Do you have any more comments?
That I'm asking you. Am I correct?
Do you have any additional
I'm not
comments? You
commenting.
have 2
I'm
minutes
asking you a
remaining.
question. I'm objecting to the fact that you're not telling me.
Your objection is noted. There was no executive session. There was no
Okay,
deliberation
now,
held.
in my comments, you can spin it up to 3 minutes, please.
No,
Excuse me?
no.
So let me get this right. You let people speak in the last meeting.
Go
I
review the
timed
tape.
it. I timed it out. You let people speak.
No, I did not.
You did. It was the second speaker, I believe, spoke for over 3.5 minutes.
Mm-mm.
It's very true. You can look at the timing yourself. So I need to be respun my 3 minutes for comment. That's what I need to do. Yes?
You've been making your comments. This
This
is your
not my
opportunity.
comment. See, honestly, this is the one-sided nonsense that this board always follows in suit with. They will allow people from outside to speak at infinitum about things so long as they agree with. You had a speaker come up from Norristown to speak. This was in early 2020, I believe, or late 2020, mid 2020. You let somebody speak infinitum for 15 minutes. It was regarding equity or the critical race theory or Black Lives Matter. I'm not sure what it was, but she spoke forever. That's because you wanted her to speak, because you're in favor of what people have to say. This is a political action for you. This is yes, you are elected, but that doesn't mean this is a political board. This board is supposed to be apolitical. This is why you're listed on both the Republican and Democrat ticket. It's because this is a non-political position that you have made political. You do things at the behest of the teachers union. You do things at the behest of the Democrat Party. You project a falsehood upon students. You tell them that things that aren't true, and then realize why there's a problem, and then you wonder why
Mr. Lanier, your
there's
time
lots
is
of
up.
fights. I have one last question for
No.
you. One last
Your
question.
time is up, Mr.
You do
Lanier.
not
Have a
allow.
seat,
You
please.
don't have enough security in Penfield and Pendale.
Mr.
Yet you
Lanier,
have two
your
security
time is
here
up.
for 30 people. You have one security in
Mr.
Pendale
Lanier,
for
please
900
have
people.
a seat.
900 people, right? There's 900 students in
Mr.
Pendale,
Lanier,
or
please have
Penfield
a
rather.
seat.
Is there 900 students in Penfield?
Mr. Lanier, please have a seat.
And you have one security guard. Same thing with Pembroke. You guys
Mr.
need
Lanier,
to
please have a seat.
figure out what you're going to do and stop
Security,
being
could
political.
you please escort Mr. Lanier out if he doesn't
And-
leave the podium?
And
This is a warning, sir, that you are now intentionally disrupting a public meeting. Thank you.
Please stop yelling out from the audience. Please stop yelling out. Okay, we're moving on. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment that hasn't made public comment at this time? No, there will not. Okay, if not, we're going to move on to the next part of our agenda.
Okay, Mrs. Stoll, we can go back to the top of the agenda, please. And if we can do approval of minutes and then the committee reports.
Great. So can I have a motion?
Object,
Oh, my God.
object. Because the minutes that are going to be approved do not accurately reflect the meeting on December 15th, nor do they accurately reflect the meeting on, what was it, January 10th.
Noted.
you,
Motion to
Mr.
approve the
Lanier.
minutes.
Motion by Mr. Fusco, seconded by Mr.
But
Costa.
it's-
Any
you have
comments
to
or
cor- As
questions?
it's legal, as it's the legal
Mr.
record,
Lanier,
you have
please
to
have
correct.
a seat.
You have to correct the record. It's the legal record.
It's been noted.
You can't, no, it's not noting it.
No, you're,
You
Yes, your
have to
objection
correct
is
it.
noted. Now have a seat, please.
How are you going to correct the record?
Your objection is noted. That's your opportunity is to indicate what about the minutes is incorrect.
There's
Mr. Lanier, this
something-
is your
first
last
thing-
warning.
Excuse me?
Have a seat, please.
I was just asked a question. I'm gonna
Have a
answer the
seat,
question.
please, Mr. Lanier,
Mr.
so we
Summers
can
just asked
conduct
me
our
a question.
business.
You stated your objection is that the minutes are in violation
They are
of the
not.
Sunshine Act.
They do not accurately reflect the tenor or what happened during the meeting.
So they do not describe what occurred during those meetings. That's your objection.
Yeah, they
And
do.
your objection is noted before the board has voted on that. Thank you.
Have a seat, please.
And for January 10th,
Mr. Lanier, this
you
is your
adjourned
last
the
warning.
meeting,
Please
you
have a
adjourned the
seat.
meeting while I was speaking, as opposed to having a,
No, you weren't
recess.
quiet. You didn't stop talking after your 3 minutes.
after my.
You were the
3
only
3
public
minutes were over.
commenter and you had exceeded your 3 minutes, so you were done.
In the
And so
previous
was me.
meeting, the 15th, or excuse me, on the December 16th, you allowed, I have it
Security.
written down, I did the timing of it.
Sir, you are now
You allowed-
intentionally disrupting
you
this
allowed,
meeting.
This
This is a warning that you were disrupting this meeting. Please return to your seat. Thank you.
Mr. Lanier. Mr. Lanier,
There is a motion and a second on the minutes,
okay.
Madam President.
Are there any
President.
comments or questions?